Welcome to Drive Like a Girl, episode 3. Cheers.
Let me quench my thirst.
We're both some basic bitches, really.
Cheers.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey
Welcome
Jess.
back. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great.
I'm very excited. I've been going all day. Jess, I can't wait to record the podcast. I can't wait to record the podcast.
And now we're here again. Back again. Drive like a gal.
New scenery.
Yeah, if you're watching
Welcome.
on YouTube, last time it was the mics, now it's the scenery.
We're testing new things out.
Yeah.
This is Jess's room.
We're in my room.
Welcome.
Hopefully you like it. The little grey aesthetic, the black.
It's
the cream.
cute.
We've also got my two teddies, Nigel and Nigel Jr.
I've got Nigel Jr.
And I've got Nigel.
Hi guys.
They're keeping us company today.
And a good episode for Nigel and Nigel Jr. to join.
Yeah.
Because this week's race, well, last week's race now.
Finally, the gods listened to us. My dreams came true.
Oh my god, we should insert sound bite / clip of Jess buzzing at the race.
I was just like, oh my god! I can't believe it. It was music to my ears, and the TikToks afterwards of the sound of the what are they called when they talk? Commentator.
Yeah.
And they say Max is out, and it's just like that is God talking.
Yeah, it's
that
music
is
to
heaven,
my ears.
Music to our ears.
We were so
Max
buzzed.
is out.
Max is
of
out
the race of the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, we
Finally.
actually watched it together on Sunday. We didn't watch it live.
No.
Because it was at 4 a.m. And sorry if that makes us fake fans, but you know what?
I'll take that because I was not waking up at 4 a.m.
No, we'd had a rough one Saturday, so
Yeah,
I think
was not waking up
it's
for
Grand
that.
Prix. Before we get into talking about all things the race, we actually got half of our back to basics to still get into.
We do.
So if you watched last week's episode, Jess, tell them what we talked about.
Well, what Formula One is.
Mm-hmm.
We gave you exactly what you'd need to know if you hadn't heard about it before, if you've never grew up watching it.
Yeah.
Very basic stuff.
Yeah, we wanted to go back to basics, really kick off with everything you need to know to enjoy Formula One and just kind of understand it. It's not, in depth, it's not like expert, knowledge or anything, but it's just to give you those back to basics. And we went off and actually filmed like 45 minutes worth of just back to basics. So we had to split it in half for you guys.
We couldn't just let you guys sit for an hour and listen to that because it would be so boring.
It would have been so boring.
But
yeah, and it would have taken a long time to get into the actual race talk, which I know is why a lot of you guys are here. So we've got part 2 of that.
Yeah, we talk about tyres, DRS,
the FIA,
like common phrases that you'll hear in a race.
Yeah.
So cut to that. Enjoy the part 2 of Back to Basics, and we will be back to talk things Australian Grand Prix. So we want to now touch up on the FIA. So the FIA has been in place from the start of motor racing, so they don't just regulate Formula One, they regulate all motorsports. So they motorsports.
It's like moto. We watched that last week.
Did we?
I like them big. Yeah, from.
Oh yeah, we did.
I like them
big. Wait, I want to do the echo. I like them big.
I want to do it.
I like them chunky.
I like them round.
I don't know the rest.
Do it funky.
Anyway, back to
motorsports.
Motorsports. So you've lost my train of thought.
Sorry. I
but they regulate all motorsport. Motorsport. Stop laughing at the way I say it. But they also put all the rules in place and health and safety. So they try to make motorsports as safe as they can be, because as we know, they never used to be very safe. There was a lot of accidents, a lot of deaths, and so they put different systems in place, and obviously when the races are going on, they make sure that everyone's following to the rules, and then they put penalties in place, which, as we talked about earlier, Kevin Magnussen got 20 seconds penalty, so that would have been regulated by the FIA.
You see it a lot, and where that team principals like call in the stewards and call in the FI when they're not happy
Throughout
about
the
something.
race, you see that a lot, complaining about, I think this person had done, like, a driver may have cut them off or braked at the wrong time that may have caused a crash, or jump starting at the start of the race. If you know, we're not talking about that just yet. But
I think one thing that I remember of like a principal calling in that I think is like just so iconic. I think it's 2021, the like contentious like Lewis versus Max final, and you've got Toto Wolff. Once the FIA made the decision, Toto Wolff calling in, and he's like, "That's not fair. That's not fair." And he's just like constantly, and it's just so iconic.
It is.
Bless.
Yeah, and so kind of a health and safety thing that the FIA, just to give you an example of what they do, is they've recently introduced, it's called the Halo. So it's for every race car has to have this kind of protection over their head.
Yeah, it's like a mini cage, I guess, over the
Yes,
driver.
so if they do flip over, which we've seen a lot, they're obviously protected because the helmet can only do so much. But
yeah, imagine like beforehand, the car flipped over and your head will scrape against the floor and the entire weight of the car would be on your head.
It's actually crazy.
Like, that's nuts. And it's kind of nuts
crazy
to think about that the Halo wasn't there before, but it was really contentious. Like, loads of F1 fans didn't like it because it kind of blocks your view, I guess, of the driver.
Yeah.
And it makes spectating it,
People
though
didn't
spectating
like
it's
it.
quite hard. They just didn't like it at all.
They didn't. Even Toto Wolff openly admitted that he didn't like it and he tried to get it he didn't want it to become a thing. And then there was actually an accident that happened literally, was it 2022 or 2023? Very recently. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen ended up driving over the top of Lewis Hamilton's car, where the wheel actually went over
The Halo.
the Halo. So if that Halo wasn't there, God knows what would have happened to Lewis Hamilton. After that happened, Toto Wolff was analysing Lewis Hamilton's car and kind of the wreckage of it, and to see the damage that was caused. And he even said, to think I tried to not get this Halo to become a thing, and he protested against it.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm so glad
It's
this is
really
a thing,
lifesaver.
because it saved his life. And it's scary. But that's just some of the things that the FIA do to put things in place, and basically are like the government of motorsport.
Yeah, the regulator. They set down the
rules.
hammer.
Yeah. So there's been some drama recently with the FIA that I will touch upon. So the president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, was accused of, in the Saudi Arabian race last year, what's his name? Fernando Alonso, who drives for Aston Martin, was penalised, and he tried to basically get this overturned, which eventually helped him end up on the podium for Saudi Arabia. And that came out a couple of weeks ago that happened. So that's not good for the FIA. Well, what I want to know is why he would help Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, it's
I don't
really
know.
random.
I find that really random.
That's dodge.
It is. So I don't know. But that's just some drama that happened. But we also have safety cars. So obviously, like we said earlier, there are accidents. Unfortunately, no one wants that to happen. But a few are minor. And even just like a car slowly just breaking down, not even crashing into anything, just
But that could cause a lot, like, because these cars are driving so quickly. So a car stopping in the middle of the track, or a car breaking down, or even if, a car went into the wall and a bit of it came off and then there's debris on the track. All of those things can be very, very dangerous for these cars going super fast, because they can't just like suddenly like slow down to
No.
a halt. So they sometimes have to deploy a safety car, which will come out of the pit in front of the first driver, whoever's in first place. Let's say Max Verstappen, and then all the other cars will bunch up behind the safety car, and it will keep them slowed down so that on another part of the track, um, whoever can like clear it up, fix the problem, before the safety car then leaves when they decide it's safe, and let them all go again.
Yep. And a safety car can give the person in pole position who may be seconds ahead, it gives the person behind them kind of a chance to catch up and then maybe take pole position. So sometimes people, for the drama and for the excitement within a race, want a safety car to come out. Obviously, no one to get hurt.
Especially if you're lower back in the grid.
Yeah,
Some
it gives
people
you a
use the
chance
safety car to pit. Because everybody's in
Yes.
the same position. So you'll hear that a lot, like safety cars deployed, these people are going to pit now, they're using it as an opportunity now because everyone's all bunched up together.
Or some people will stay out and they'll stay on the tyres that they are, but then there's a risk that obviously the people who are pitting and having their tyres changed, which we'll go on to in a second,
Fresh.
will give them fresh tyres, which will obviously give them an advantage. So then the people who didn't pit and stayed out, there's a risk that their tyres will wear and that they may not be able to go as fast as the people with fresher tyres.
Definitely.
So it's all about strategy, and it's all about kind of in the moment either sticking to plan A or going to plan B, or changing or seeing what works to just give everyone, their team, the best advantage.
And you see this a lot, like the teams will have thought of their strategy before the game and the race, and they
Tyre
will have talked about
strategies,
it.
it's just so
And they'll
many
have different
things.
strategies for each driver, and they'll have spoken about it, and both drivers will know that strategy. And like you saw, like we saw with Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo, in Bahrain, Daniel came out afterwards and called Yuki very immature for his behaviour, and said he was particularly shocked because he knew that was a possibility that was going to happen.
That was one of their strategies.
Yeah, Daniel was going to be put on the newer tyres later. Daniel got the softer tyres later. So he had more of an advantage to go faster than Yuki. And that's why they wanted him to go ahead. Yuki then not letting that happen, Daniel said, was immature and confusing because Yuki knew that that was their strategy. So the virtual safety car is like the same thing as a normal safety car, except it's not a physical car that goes out onto the pitch, as the name suggests. Pitch? Why am I like all the sport analogies? It's not a like real car that will go out onto the track. You'll just see like a sign come up, and it will say VSC, and that just means that the drivers have to stay at like the same speed, similar speed that they're driving at now, and they just have to like not speed up, not go any faster, and continue around the track like that. The advantage to a virtual safety car that you don't get in a physical safety car is that if you have that time advantage that Jess mentioned, like you might be Max Verstappen that has a 20-second advantage of whoever's in behind you, the physical safety car will bunch everyone up and you'll lose that time that you've got ahead, whereas a virtual safety car, you can keep that gap between you. So I think it's used for kind of less serious occasions, when they can deploy that, but it's a bit more severe than like a yellow flag, for example.
So tyre strategies, this is a lot as well. So we're just going to touch on basics and obvious things.
Because they'll talk about this a lot, so you'll
hear.
Like,
before, if you do watch a race for the first time, if you're watching on Sky Sports, they do talk about potentially different tyre strategies that a team may use for that race course. So it can change depending on that race course that they go on, because obviously some race courses have much more bends and it can be trickier. So it all depends on different tyres to help them have an advantage. So they use previous races and examples on what is the best tyre strategy to use. So do you want to go on and explain kind of what each tyre is and why they use that specific tyre?
Yes. So there are 3 kind of tyre grades, and then within those there are different levels to that. So you've got soft tires, medium tires, and hard tires. So the soft compound tire is the tire with the most grip. Often people go onto those in qualifying because that allows you to go really fast, but they don't last as long, whereas the harder tires will last longer but aren't necessarily as grippy. And then the medium tire is a nice, happy in between, but with that, it's not the best of both worlds either. They each depend on like the weather. So, for example, a soft compound tire will be best in the driest conditions. They're really smooth, so that would not work well on like wet weather. But on top of those three tires, we've also got wet tires and intermediate, which are used when it's really rainy or kind of more wet conditions.
Damp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Good explanation.
And they're provided by Pirelli.
Ooh, little fact there.
Little fact.
That's good.
So,
sayings you may have heard in
sayings
F1.
you may have heard.
This is really interesting. I really liked Googling this. There was more than what I have written down.
There's so many things. Maybe
there's
like
so
over time, we can
many
just keep
things,
saying,
but as we
like,
keep saying
some
it throughout
jargon.
these podcasts and talks, you'll learn with us along the way.
So here are some common ones.
Yes. Sammy said earlier that she couldn't explain what DRS was, and she literally explained it fine in the most simple way that you possibly can.
Do you want me to? But
So
I
just
want me to
explain
do
it. I thought it was fine.
Okay, so DRS stands for Drag Reduction System. And this is how I understand it. You get it when you're within a second of the driver in front of you, and normally occurs on the straights, and it basically just gives you an advantage, and it's a button that the drivers press that lifts up a little thingy in the back of their car and lets them, like, the wind go through, and then they can go really fast, and then gives them an advantage to overtake on those straights. And the straights are basically just like really long parts of the track that don't have like a bend for a while, so it's an advantage. It lets the wind go through.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect explanation. It's really simple. There's probably more to it. I said you may hear them say push. Is that right?
I think they say push a lot.
Yeah,
like,
I don't really know why they say push. Is it just like you can push for this, you can do it?
I think they're literally that. I think they're just telling them like, put your foot in the gas.
Let us know if that's wrong.
Push.
Yeah.
And then you hear the drivers go back like, I am pushing.
Aww.
What do you expect me to do? I'm pushing.
The next one I have is box.
Box.
So it means pit stop. There's not really much to it, guys. It just means they need to come into the pit. So slipstream, you may hear that, and it does kind of come into play with DRS. So it means a driver is directly behind another car, means the driver who is behind them has an increased chance of pulling off and then overtaking them. So teammates may use this as well to intentionally give each other a slipstream in qualifying to help set the fastest lap. So again, that's working as a team, as we explained earlier, to obviously get them in the points.
Oversteering is basically, as the name suggests, when the driver like kind of oversteers the wheel. It's really sensitive, so it can force the kind of the rear of the car to fling out, and it's really bad for the tires, and can wear them out faster, and cause the driver to therefore go slower.
Yeah, and it can cause accidents as well, which is
because imagine if you're like behind a driver that oversteers and then their bum flings out.
But that is also to do with the car. Yeah. So not good. Understeering means the car won't turn as much, so the opposite. And it won't steer as much as the driver would like, so this can cause them to go wide, and also cause them to be slower as well. So yeah.
So both not good.
No, not
you need
good.
Perfect amount of steering.
Yeah, that's what you're doing around those corners.
So going purple, you'll see it on the side panel if you're watching the race. You'll see a little purple timer come up next to it, and when they're going purple, that means they're setting the fastest lap. They're going faster than anybody else on the track.
Simple.
Simple.
Locking up, meaning a driver has tried to slow down by braking, but there isn't much grip and the tyres are sliding, which creates a puff of smoke, causing damage to the tyres. So if you ever hear locking up.
Charles was locking up a lot in the first in Bahrain. He just kept saying, I'm locking up, I'm locking up.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Next, we've got apex, which has, so if someone says an apex, the driver's going really wide around the corner, so normally you want to get quite close in.
So if
Yeah,
they
so
go wide, it
they're
loses
losing
seconds.
time.
It loses, yeah,
Yeah, so they want to get quite close because then you're
round the
fast, it's
corners. You're
fastest
faster
round.
around the corner.
And you'll see the drivers, they're kind of following the same line. Like a lot of them, unless they're trying to like overtake, they round the corners, the drivers will follow that same fast line, and if they take the apex, they're taking the longest route round, which is too slow.
Yeah, it's not good. So we didn't want to touch up on flags, but blue flag is basically when a driver is leading, you may be thinking, oh, well, can't they overtake? They must then reach up to the people who aren't going, who are at the bottom, like P16 or something. Surely they're gonna overlap them, and that does happen. So blue flags, it says leading cars can overlap the slower cars at the back of the race, and a blue flag is shown to a back marker to tell the driver to get out of their way.
Yeah.
So the faster car can come through. So they can't, just because Max Verstappen comes round and he's behind, sorry, Kevin Magnussen, just as an example.
Just a hypothetical.
Kevin would have to move out of the way to let Max through. It can't affect them,
because that would be unfair.
Yeah,
like they're about to
fair.
lap you, you've got to let them lap you.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, that can like get you a penalty, obviously. I was gonna add one, which is DNF.
Yeah.
And DNF means did not finish. So you do not want to hear this as a driver, or but you often do, and it's in a race. When a driver did not finish the race, they'll go right to the bottom of the grid and cry they DNF'd.
Yeah. Let us know if there's any more.
We can do this regularly. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah, there were a few that I saw, but I just thought we'll be here forever. So, and when you start watching races, you can kind of pick up on things and maybe comment below of something you heard in the next race, and we can talk about it in the next episode.
Follow us on Instagram, Drive Like a Girl Pod, because hopefully over time we can ask you guys questions, and if you have questions, we can answer them on the pod.
Yeah, exactly.
So other things that you might not know what it means, we'll be happy to answer those for you.
Yeah. So, Australian Grand Prix. If you didn't watch it, you missed out. Best race so far. I know.
In our humble opinion.
Yeah.
3 races in.
3 races deep. No, Max was out.
In
straight
the
away.
First lap, not even like.
And I couldn't believe my eyes.
I know, it was
but I was
good.
so happy. What did they say? Max is on fire.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, not in a good way.
Not
we
in
were
a
writing
good way.
down notes like the whole time we were watching, and I went, well, we skipped. Carlos overtook him, so went into first place.
Yeah, and then when he did that, I was like, right, this is good, but we know this is not how it's going to end.
Yeah, it's not how it lasts.
So it was just like, oh, good to see. It was kind of like Lando Norris in the last race in Jeddah. So I wasn't expecting him to literally catch on fire. I just couldn't believe it.
And the slow motions. So basically his back wheel, just like his back right wheel, literally just caught on fire and exploded. And he said later on, like, he felt it as soon as the lights were gone and he went out. He felt that it was like the brakes had just stuck, and it was like driving with the handbrake still on. So it was just like so tight up there. And then the back right wheel just absolutely went. And then I guess all that friction, all that heat, that speed that they're going at, boom, explosion, fire. And then, like, the slow motions of him driving down the pit, and then the smoke. It was just like...
Yeah, didn't expect it from a Red Bull car, to be honest.
No.
And as much as I was happy that it happened, which is bad to say, because I actually do really like Max.
Yeah,
I do
he's
think he's a nice guy. Like, when I see clips of him talking, and even afterwards when he was talking about it, I just felt kind of bad for him. My emotions were going in and out.
And also, it really
bipolar.
It made me like him a little bit more because he was so chill about it. But I think it's like the position of privilege that he's in.
Everyone just doesn't like him because he wins. But he is a nice guy, and he's literally said before on Drive to Survive, he doesn't like going on there because why is he gonna? That's not who he really is. Like he
doesn't like sitting in a dark room.
Express his personality in front of a camera, and that's fair fair enough.
Yeah.
I think most of us would feel like that. You have to be a certain type of person and personality to go on these reality TV shows and really show who you
Yeah, fully.
are. And if you're not that type of person and you just like to keep it private and with your mates, why not?
Fairs. And then his reaction after the race, I think it is like from a position of privilege that he can be so calm about it, because he probably knows the next race I'll just come back and smash it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was like so chill. Oh, it was good to see. And that
was
just
nice.
like shows how deprived we are
Yeah.
of like an exciting race, because we were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Max was out, and then Lewis Hamilton
Yeah.
out. So one of the two top drivers, you would say,
Oh,
really,
nuts.
are out. I just feel so bad for Lewis Hamilton. I really can't
I feel really bad for him. So I think it was lap 17, and then he just had engine failure. And like,
Yeah.
he just kind of slowed to a halt, and then you just see him, he had to go out, like pull to the side, and then he couldn't drive it back to the pit.
And Toto Wolff wants to literally hit his nose apparently because of it.
Well, it's because of the both of them.
Yeah, but like, what
I know.
expression is that?
I know, what is it?
I
There
want
was
to
the
hit
quote,
my
I've got it here.
nose.
Wolf admits wanting to punch himself on the nose.
Oh, punch himself on the nose.
It's just, boop.
Not
Which I think was very
punchable.
funny. But yeah.
Punch his nose.
Yeah, that is so peak for Mercedes. I mean, skipping ahead. But so Lewis, like, not crashes out, but DNFs, so did not finish because of engine failure. And then George Russell, last lap, crashes. And it was a dramatic one.
Yeah.
Like, luckily, thank goodness, he was completely fine, and not
Yeah.
like a dramatic one in, safety. The car did what it was supposed to do in keeping him safe, but like really dramatic, and then the wheels came off. He was like on his side, and
Yeah.
it completely dragged for ages. So then both Mercedes were completely out of the race.
Yeah.
No points.
Yeah.
Well, actually minus points because they did not finish. So
It's not looking good. Not a good start.
that's why Wolf wanted to
but-
punch himself on the nose.
The reason why George, if you didn't watch it, George Russell was trying to get P6, was it?
Yeah.
And overtake Fernando Alonso. And Fernando Alonso, he got a 20-second penalty because of dangerous driving. Did he try
Yeah.
to brake?
So
He
was
obviously knew George Russell was chasing to overtake him for P6, and then he kind
Yeah.
of, I think, braked a little bit.
slow. Yeah, he
which
did on the
ended
like
up
apex of the
causing-
corner.
Right.
So he was like, he slowed down, and the apex is like the widest part, right? Which forced George to brake like really suddenly, and then he crashed out.
Yeah.
So if he did that on purpose, which I guess is the suspicion,
The T.
then that was quite dangerous. And I think Fernando, I mean, he's known in history for being a little bit of a villain, a little bit of a drama queen. Like when him and Lewis were in the same team, I
I
think
was
they were
literally going to say that.
yeah, in McLaren, in the pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both driving for McLaren, and then Fernando Alonso waited in the pit stop and did not move even after the team was all like done with him, and he waited long enough so that Lewis couldn't qualify in the top 10 or something, I think.
But did you see? There's a few clips on TikTok of when George Russell did crash, and he was obviously saying like, red flag, red flag, red flag, trying to really express the danger. I think he was really, well, you would be scared in that moment, but because he was literally in the middle of the track, you don't know what the hell
It's
is
coming
coming
around
around that corner, and you must
Scary.
be shitting yourself because you can't go anywhere.
And they're going
You're
like 200
stuck
miles an
there.
hour, and they can't
Yeah,
right
he can't
in the
just
middle.
get out. Like he has to wait.
Yeah,
And he was
it's
just
scary.
like red flag, red flag, red flag, and I was like, oh my god, it's not
Scary.
nice. Yeah,
No, not nice. It is scary, but luckily he was all safe. But
was
unluckily for
fine.
Mercedes, they had both of their cars DNF, which is not really, like them. I mean, Alpine, that's more like their
Yeah.
forte. Mercedes, not so much. So that is unfortunate for them. I've also got down on here, kick Sauber shit at pit stops.
yeah, they are.
Really not
Every
doing
single
good.
race so far, they're
They've
so
struggled.
slow. Even when their quickest pit stop was still a couple seconds slower than what it really should be.
Yeah, I think so. So it was the first pit stop for like Bottas in Australia, and it lost him like a minute and a half. and it was because they couldn't get like the front left wheel on. Yeah, they suffered from cross-threaded wheel nuts. I don't know what that is. Basically, they couldn't get the front left wheel on. And then they said, didn't they, later? They were like, oh, if anybody saw like a nut fly into the middle of the pit, that was from Kick Sauber. Don't worry, someone has now retrieved it. And I was like, why is this news? Why do we like... But I guess that is dangerous if someone drove over like a spare nut. But
have I mentioned this before? But they're going to be Audi in 2026.
Yeah.
Kick Sauber.
Have you seen their new car?
No.
It's got like the Audi logo on it, which like really throws me off because I guess I don't know. It's just
when I said this the other day, Sammy thought I was like, "Oh, Audi are gonna come in back to F1 in 2026," and you were just like, "Audi? What? That's crazy. How? Like they're food? Like how are they? Like that's a shot? Like what?" And I said, "What do you mean? It's Audi the car, like that people drive," and you thought I meant Audi the food shop.
Wait, was that me?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was Paige. I think it was Paige.
Paige. Oh my god, the big drama. This is kind of pre-race drama, but we've got to talk about the Alex Albon and Logan Sargent situation.
I was thinking of that. Feelings do not come into play with F1. They clearly don't really care about their drivers. They care about winning.
Yeah, they care about winning.
Which is kind of sad. I think some team principals and like CEOs, they obviously care about their drivers to an extent, but really and truly it's about making money. They want to make the most money, they want to win. But basically what happened was in qualifying, was it qualifying?
No, it was practice
one. Alex Albon crashed and his car was written off, obviously, but they didn't have the right part of the car they needed to replace it.
Yeah, so it
in
was
Australia.
Like, yeah,
because obviously when they crash their cars, they need their engineers and mechanics to then change that part or replace the car, like certain bits of it, so it can then drive again for qualifying and then the race. But Williams didn't bring the right parts, and they ended up not having a second car.
Yeah, so the bit so
what is the actual bit that came off the car that they didn't have to replace?
So the bit that came off was the chassis, I believe.
What is that?
So the chassis is the entire bottom of the car. So it's not just like a little part that like came off that they didn't have. They didn't bring the entire base, like a spare entire base of the car. And because that was like entirely wrecked, they couldn't
They're all the way in Australia.
Yeah, all the way in Australia, and they can't just
their offices are in UK, so they can't just be like, oh. So they were out of a car, so they only end up having one car and one driver who can race in qualifying and obviously the race. But they don't pick their second driver who didn't crash, Logan Sargent. They say, "No, Logan, Alex Albon is going to drive your car and you're out of the race," even though Alex crashed his car.
Yeah.
So
sorry,
they replaced Logan. I mean, sorry.
I did feel really bad for him.
That's really harsh.
Yeah.
And it's obviously because they're like, well, it's more likely Alex will get points for us. So they changed them. But poor Logan.
I know, especially when you're there like, I didn't crash my car. Why can't I keep my car?
I know.
But
and I feel bad for him as well, because a lot of people are like, who? I know it sounds really bad.
Yeah.
They're like, who's Logan? And I'm like, oh,
bless
no.
poor boy. He isn't doing very well, but he was very good about the whole thing. Like, he was very mature. I haven't seen any clips of him,
actually.
Yeah, he came out afterwards and he was really mature about it, and he literally was like saying, you know, he said, "This is the worst moment of my F1 career." And then the rest of it, he was just, you know, like, "I am a team player, and I will do it for the best of the team."
Yeah.
Which is just like, wow, fair.
You've got to just suck it up, unfortunately.
Yeah. Literally in my notes, I've just got, "Oh my God, Zac Efron!"
The love of my life.
Yeah, I don't even know what team he was there with. We were just in shock.
Yeah, he was only on the screen for a second.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Zac Efron. And you know what? He'll always be the love of my life. He was my first ever crush. in
Since
primary
when?
school.
High School Musical.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's when everyone first saw him, really, wasn't it, from our generation?
Yeah, I was always like a Corbin Blue stan.
Who?
Corbin Blue.
Who's
Chad.
that?
Chad in High School
Oh,
Musical.
Chad.
Yeah.
Was
so,
she?
Yeah. So, but obviously, I mean, Zac
I
Efron
was
was
generic.
fit. But then
I'm a generic bitch. It was Zac
we're
Efron.
we're both some basic bitches, really.
Cheers.
I was just gonna say, Carlos Sainz's girlfriend got a lot of airtime.
She did.
Understandably, she's a gorgeous, gorgeous woman.
She looked so happy.
She was so bad.
I mean, you would be.
Because we haven't even said it.
Carlos Sainz won the race. How crazy!
Which is why I'm here.
You've got the Ferrari hat on.
The Ferrari hat.
I just can't believe it. And he's come back from having appendicitis.
I know.
Out of the last race, and just come back and been like a massive F you
Ferrari.
to Ferrari. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, literally F you Ferrari for dropping me.
And earlier, Sammy TMI was in the toilet. And I was in the kitchen, and she screams, and it's like, Carlos Sainz is going to Red Bull for 2026. And I was like, what?
5.
Oh, 2025. And I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Comes out the toilet. She's like, Google it. Is it true? Is TikTok lying to me? And I was like, I Googled it. Nothing was coming up. And it was just like speculation. Because Christian Horner said he won't dismiss the idea of Carlos Sainz joining Red Bull in 2025.
But this has been speculation for a while, but when I saw it, I immediately thought it had been like confirmed. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, but I completely misread that. But I think Sergio Perez is quaking. I think he must be shaking in his boots.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because I was having this conversation the other day, and it's like, what do you support in Formula One? Like, do you support the team or do you support the driver? Like, it's not like football where people have like a team. I mean, I think people do support a team and a driver, but I think it's very common for people to just be like, I will support that driver. Because like countries, you know, they'll be like, oh, Lewis Hamilton is from Britain, so I will support him no matter what team he's in. And then other people, like Sergio Perez is huge for Mexico, a huge like celebrity there, so Mexico will support him anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
But then teams, Italy will always support Ferrari, for example, or like you might have some connection to a team. So I think it's a mixture of both, but there's still kind of like that question of like, I don't know, overriding it, which is interesting. It's like not something that you see a lot in other sports, I think.
Yeah. And that's what I like about it.
Just a brilliant race for us, drive like a gals.
Yeah. Apart from me, really.
Why? So you love Lando?
Yeah, no, I love McLaren more.
Oh, right.
More that because I love Zach Brown.
Oh, yeah, Zach Brown's good.
But I'm not like a massive fan of Lando Norris or Oscar, so yeah. But can we just talk about who I do love for a second?
Yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo. I think it's time for him to... Oh, I don't want to say it. I think it's time for him to go.
No, you do? Well, he has had many a chance.
Guys, let's not lie. We love him. We stand him. He is such a lovely guy and he's done so well. He's won like, how many races? Quite a few.
Yeah.
He's not terrible. He's just not as good as he used to be. And I think
his
he
confidence
just
has been
needs
severely knocked.
I know, but I think he just needs to let it go. And, you know, he can still go to all the races. Like, what's his name? Gunter.
Yeah. Well, as was
He's
another
literally there.
That was actually shocking.
As a broadcaster.
Like the after race interviews with the finalists, and it was all just like finalists, winners. It was just Gunter, and we were both like,
what the hell
are you doing here?
And that is because he's loved by the public. And I think that's the same with Daniel Ricciardo. Everyone loves him. Everyone thinks he's so sweet. So it's not like, I don't know, but I know it must be so hard to not want to admit it.
Yeah, for sure.
So many drivers come in and out of F1. Like,
but this
it's just
is
maybe
point.
it's his time to go.
But this is why I'm like not sure, because like, okay, he's not getting points, which I guess it is what it's all about. But like, he's not like, so he got P12 in this race, which is not like the worst. And you've got people like Nico Hulkenberg, who actually is doing pretty well, to be fair. But like Nico
No, I
Hulkenberg
know
and like
what you're
Kevin
saying.
Magnussen, who have been in there for ages, and they're
I know
still
what
there.
you're saying, but he's not going to want to go to a
lower tier
constructor
team.
like Haas.
Yeah, but maybe that's what he needs
wants
to
to
like.
be in the Red Bull, and he wanted that second Red Bull seat. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's not in the cards.
No, I
for
think we
him.
do maybe have to accept that.
And so either he has to accept going to drivers, but he doesn't like their cars. He went to McLaren. He went to, what was the other one?
It was Alpine.
At the time.
No.
Wasn't it something else?
No, it was
Renault.
Renault.
And he didn't get on with the drive. So,
yeah, and how many times can you blame it on the car? I think
exactly.
we said this before.
I just don't know. Yuki Tsunoda's doing better than him.
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda has consistently kind of been in the points. And he's cheaper. But I think Daniel's been, like, the rumour is Daniel's been given a bit of an ultimatum. But Helmut Marko, who is, like, Red Bull's big guy, there are rumours that he might leave. And if he leaves, it will all go to absolute pot. But anyway.
Wait, I haven't had that rumour.
Yeah, so, because, like, with all the drama with Christian Horner, apparently, like, Helmut Marko was, like, clashing heads. And if he leaves, he's, like, Helmut Marko is behind so many championship wins. And he's got, like, 20-something under his belt.
Yeah.
If he leaves, not good for Red Bull. But anyway, apparently Helmut Marko has given Daniel Ricciardo an ultimatum that if he doesn't improve in the next 2 races, then he'll be out and he'll be replaced by Liam Lawson, who we saw in the most recent season of Drive to Survive.
He must be just, like, get him out.
Yeah.
Because he's probably watching it like, I can do so much better than this guy. What are you doing?
Well. He did really, really well last year in the race that he was in. So he's probably gunning for Ricciardo to do bad. But yeah, I think the next one is Japan and then China. And then after that is Miami. And if he doesn't improve in the next 2, Miami, he's out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Liam will be in if he doesn't improve.
So that's just a rumour. I guess we're going to wait and see.
Yeah, tricky one for Daniel Ricciardo. He said, I'm not where I expected to be. But he says that every year.
I know.
Every year.
I know.
Danny. Shall we move on to some fantasy chat?
I've given up on my fantasy.
No, you can't give up. You've got to, like, keep it active.
No, I've given up.
No, Jess.
No, I have, because the last time I changed it, it didn't update.
No, but it would have...
So,
check it now, because it would have
I
updated.
did.
So mine updated. So let me read out what your team says it is at the moment. So it says that your team is Max Verstappen, George Russell, Daniel Ricciardo, Alex Albon, and Pierre Gasly.
Terrible.
You want to take out Pierre, really?
I want to take out all of them at the minute.
Oh yeah, George, that was peak.
Fucking even Max.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm out here
No,
skipping.
sorry, but when I did that fantasy, like... So I've given up on it.
No, try change it for the next one.
Yeah, I'll change it for the next one. And I'll
Ferrari
update you
got you a
guys.
bunch of points. You've got your cars, Ferrari and Haas. So that got you a bunch of points. Because Haas, this is another...
Wait, it's Ferrari and Haas? No, it's not.
You've got Ferrari and Haas.
Oh, so it did
as your
update.
2 cars.
It did update.
See?
But I thought I changed Pierre Gasly.
You must not have done.
Well, I need to change my drivers around, but I don't think I can now without deducting points.
No, you can. Every race, you've got 2 free changes before every race.
Oh, okay. That's fine then. I'll do that after this.
Yeah, you got to change them up. You've got Ferrari and Haas, and Ferrari got you 92 points.
Right, so where am I on the leaderboard? Because
So on
last
the
time I was
leaderboard-
4th or 5th.
You're 5th. You're
Right.
down 1 space.
So it didn't do me much though, did it?
With
Those
379 points.
That's just rubbish, isn't it?
Guess where I am?
No, I don't want to know.
Guess where I am?
Where?
I'm first, baby! Sorry,
I
Jess.
just can't...
I'm in number one. But this
No.
won't last. And we know it won't last. And the only reason I'm in first is because everyone else that was higher up than me all had Max on their team, and then Max DNF'd. And I don't have Max on my team because I refuse to do that. And I have Charles Leclerc as my, like, ×2. I have Lando Norris, both of them, P2 and P3. And then I have Ferrari as my car.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of points from that.
This is the thing. When I watch it, I'm like, Max, please get out. Max, please out. And then I'm like, oh, wait, he is part of my fantasy team. So then I'm like, do I want him out or do I not?
Yeah.
But I don't really care that much about my fantasy.
See, and you don't know. And, like, who would have known that Max would have DNF'd?
Exactly.
And who would have known that George would have, crashed in the last lap? Like, all these things you don't know, which is why we love the sport, but it makes fantasy pretty difficult.
Yeah. Isn't it, if you get the most points in the whole...
Yeah, in the whole of everyone doing the fantasy, you get tickets to the paddock.
I don't think that'll be us, unfortunately. Well, it definitely won't be me.
No, but hopefully the podcast will blow up and we'll get invited.
We hit 100 followers on TikTok.
On TikTok, yeah!
That was our first milestone.
Yeah, go follow us on TikTok. Woo! But yeah, I think that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed the Back to Basics and that it helped you guys learn a few new things.
Yeah.
And I hope that, we covered the race pretty well. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think so. Are we going to be back with a history episode?
Yeah, I think we should do something like talking about some dramas or historical story times, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And
Yeah.
we can tell you some of the drama that used to happen because it used to be more exciting than this. The next race is in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting times. Again, on unsociable hours for us. Oh well.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, thanks for listening,
Thanks
everyone.
for listening and watching,
Yeah.
if you're watching.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.